going on, guys? First, welcome in. Second major announcement, the podcast is now available in your podcast app of choice. So head over to Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcasts, etc., and you can access all of the full episodes for client by client on demand every single day, 5 days a week. Super stoked for that. Just wanted to say thank you for those of you who've been showing up live, for those of you supporting on social media, for those of you watching the replays, for those of you just being around. Just wanted to give you a little toast and say big thanks. If you've had your cold brew already, you know what to do. Drop some fire emojis into the chat. I don't care if you're watching this live or watching this sometime in the future in the replay. Hello from April 2023. What we're going to be talking about today in just 1 minute's time is why being fancy is keeping you back from landing coaching clients. And I'm going to share with you 2 things that happen when you stay in this fancy realm, and then 3 things that you can start doing right now if you find yourself being victim to being fancy. And if this is holding you back from consistent clients, this is going to help you just straighten all that out and iron it out. So should be helpful, because I think that many of us aren't aware that we're being fancy. We're just doing what we think is necessary by following the example set by other coaches in the space. And sometimes that's not the best thing to do. You got to do what's right for you at the right time. So that's what we're going to be jamming on here today. Hope you're ready. 15 seconds. Let's start getting into this again, client by client, in the Apple Podcasts, in the Spotify store. Give us a follow, a subscribe, give us a rating and review, an honest rating and review. And I would love to shout you, your business, your social media out on an upcoming episode of this show. So be sure to go and leave your honest rating and review and follow. That helps us to, and all of the reactions, likes, comments on these live, guys, helps the algorithm to help us find more people. That said, let's get into it and let's make it happen. First, let's fix the camera. Apply to all. Boom. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. And in today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is why being fancy in your coaching business is holding you back from getting clients. And I'm going to share with you in this episode what happens when you stay in this fancy realm so that you can self-identify, and then exactly what to do instead so that you can get rid of that fancy energy and get into the energy of attracting in perfect, ideal future clients. Now, I'm really excited here today because it's April 18th at the time of this recording. This is episode 11. But yesterday, the podcast went live in the Apple Podcast app and in Spotify. So if you've been tuning in live, chances are you've been missing out on parts of the episode because sometimes the stream cuts out. Sometimes it cuts out halfway through and re-continues in. I don't know all of the technology that goes into the stream, and we're broadcasting this on YouTube, LinkedIn, multiple Facebook pages, sometimes a group, my personal Facebook. And so oftentimes the streams have been incomplete. So you can check these out on YouTube and see the full live that's available. But if there are parts missing, or you've missed some episodes, or you just like listening while you're getting your steps in, if you're like me, or you like listening when you're working out or some other time of your day, maybe when you're driving, you can now subscribe to Client by Client in the podcast stores. I say all of that to say that I'm just super excited and I'm super Jones for this today, and very honored that you're here listening and to have you here. In the last episode, I shared with you exactly what to do when you don't have leads. And this episode, yesterday's, is gonna be one you wanna bookmark and have on deck if you ever wake up on a Monday or at any point in time during the week and you don't have any clients in the pipeline, any prospects in the pipeline, any warm leads, you're overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, and you know that you need some leads and you know you need to start some conversations. I made that episode with you in mind, so check out episode 10, backtrack 1 episode, give that a download, listen to it, and be sure to bookmark that so you have that just available for you, and you can always throw that on if you're ever feeling like you don't have enough sales opportunities to be getting coaching clients in. That brings us here to today and being fancy. And the reason why Why I'm excited for you to listen to this episode today is because you might not know that you're falling victim to being fancy. In fact, you might not know that being fancy is holding you back. So let's talk about this fancy concept. Let's talk about what happens if you don't get today's episode right and you stay being fancy as an online coach. The first thing that happens if you stay being fancy or you get fancy too soon in your online coaching business is you risk working on non-meaningful things. As online coaches, it's our God-given purpose to be serving our market, getting underneath them, person by person. That's why this show is called Client by Client, just one person at a time. Getting underneath them to serve them, to help them on their journey and to help them transform in some way. Maybe you help them transform their marketing, their business. Maybe it's their health. Maybe it's their finances. Maybe it's their relationships. So many things that you can be doing. But, and while all of that is meaningful, right? The service and being of service and providing the talents and experiences that you've been blessed with and helping others through that on their own journey. That's meaningful. What's not meaningful is a lot of the things that we think are necessary in our coaching businesses. What might a few of those be that you risk working on? Making the prettiest website in town, working on the pretty landing pages, having a checkout cart system with the upsells and the downsells. And there's times and a place for all of these sorts of things. But if you're below $30K a month, that just shouldn't really be on your radar. So the first thing that happens is you risk working on meaningful things, meaning like finding that next client, finding that next person that you can transform, setting up a system that attracts those people in and day out. That's thing number one. The second thing that happens is that you stay stuck where you are, unaware of what's keeping you stuck. I'm such a stickler on this, guys, because what comes along with being fancy in your business is a lot of recurring costs. There's a lot of services and subscriptions that are targeted at online business owners and are targeted at newbie online business owners because you don't know any better. So, for instance, there are parts of my business that are necessary but would be considered fancy for you in your business. For instance, in my Facebook group, I have a little piece of software that helps me approve new people in or decline them. And while that helps with time, there's a lot of coaches who set their Facebook group. There's a lot of coaches who set up their Facebook group and they go and immediately start signing up for these services. It's like $40 a month. It's not necessarily cheap. It's cheap in comparison to a new client coming in. But when you're just getting started and you have under 500 members, even under 200, 300 members in your group, you just kind of don't have the foot traffic in order to need that. So don't sign up for that sort of service. I'm really big on, guys, what's the minimum necessary to run a $15K a month business? You need Zoom, you need Calendly, and you need a juicy offer. That's really about it if you're serious about serving other people. If you want to look like a coach and look like the best coach and look like you have all of the, you've been in business for 10 years and you're the renowned coach of all the authority, it's a very expensive route that leads to absolute burnout. Because now you're also having to you're keeping up with the Joneses. You have to keep up your image in order to get there. And what comes along with all of that lifestyle is a little thing known as imposter syndrome. And guys, I've never heard anybody in my 10, 11, 12 years of online business, and while I've heard hundreds of pieces of content on imposter syndrome, I've never heard them talking about you'll get imposter syndrome by just doing too much too soon in your business. But the fact of the matter is that's probably one of the foundational aspects of it, at least for online coaches, for you listening right now. So the first thing that happens is that you risk working on non-meaningful things that prevents you from being of service to the world, service to your market, service to that next prospect to turn them into a client. And then you stay stuck in your online business, not knowing why, not knowing what's keeping you back, thinking that this online coaching thing, that you weren't made for it, thinking that there has to be something that you're missing, thinking that all of the other coaches are imposters as well, thinking that you are just some unique case in coaching that can't be cracked. And so when you're not aware of these things and how much revenue these recurring subscriptions and this energy you have to put behind upholding this image that's just not true for you yet, that's your advantage, this is what's going to keep you stuck. This is what's going to keep you from serving and from attracting in the lion's share of clients. So that's what happens when you're fancy. Let's talk about what to do if you find yourself being fancy, or if you're listening to this right now and saying, Jeremy, I'm one of them fancy coaches, and I just didn't know any better. I'm focusing on the wrong things. You're right. I'm focusing on how I look as a coach, how I'm being perceived. I'm focused on all these things that kind of just don't nearly matter as much as starting conversations, as much as serving that next person, sending that next message, following up, making offers and invitations to work with you and to join your coaching program. Let's talk about what these things are. Thing number one that you must do if you don't want to be held back in your business by being fancy is you have to focus on the basics. Some of you guys are savvy to this, and I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I'm a fight fan. I watch a lot of UFC. I watch a lot of boxing, a lot of mixed martial arts, a lot of combat sports in this phase of my life. I've kind of gotten away from a lot of even though I was at a Suns game on Sunday night, even though I've gotten away a lot from the football and baseball and basketball and the normal sports, one of my only hobbies is watching MMA on Saturdays, watching fighting on Friday nights and on Saturdays. And one of the all-time greats, John Jones, had a quote most recently when he was getting set up to fight Cyril Gane. These are elite heavyweights in the UFC. And John, mind you, if you're not familiar with, trains out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I lived in Albuquerque for 2 years. Nothing to be proud of in that town, in that place. If you're from the Kirky, you got to get somewhere better. You got to get around more. But what's interesting enough is that there's some champions in Albuquerque when it comes to MMA. And here's what John said. John says that his opponent, Cyril Gane from France, he trains fancy. That was the quote. He trains at a very nice, fancy gym in all kind of brand new gear, looking real good, looking fly. Whereas John trains in the dirt of Albuquerque, New Mexico, in what I imagine is an old kind of looking rundown gym. Not very Instagrammable, okay? But more Rocky Balboa than Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And so you have to get to focusing in on basics. And why I'm bringing that to you is because this fanciness that you're needing is preventing you from focusing on the basics. John just shows up every single day and focuses on the basics. So what are the basics when it comes to online coaching? Well, and guys, a lot of you get so frustrated when we're talking about your business and you're needing more leads and more clients, but I want to talk about your offer. And it's the exact advice I have for you today. That even if you feel like your offer is super solid, the first thing you have to do is get to the foundation of your business, which is your offer and what you deliver when someone signs up for you as a client. You have to think with the end in mind, a common theme we've been having over these last 10, 11 episodes of this show. And so if you can imagine, and if you have a pen and pencil, break out a piece of paper and draw the world's simplest triangle on it, with the flat side down at the bottom, pointy side up at the top. Underneath the bottom of that triangle that you just drew, that you're imagining right now while you're at the gym or in the car, or wherever you're at listening to this episode or tuning in, underneath that, I want you to write the word offer. And it's at the bottom of the triangle because this is the foundation of your business, because your offer is what people buy and it's what they deliver. And when you make your way around the triangle after these next two pieces, it'll start to make sense. But you always, always, always start with your offer. The misconception is that you think the only offer to start with is the paid for offer when you get to the end of the sales call and you invite them to join your coaching program. When in reality, there are micro offers happening along every single step of their interaction with you, from following you on social media, from commenting on a post, to asking for a lead magnet or joining your group or giving their email to subscribe. There are many offers being made along the way. So you start with the end with that paid offer and you work backwards to think of what are the many offers that need to lead up to it. You have to zoom out in your business and you got to get the big picture as a part of focusing on the basics. On the left side of the triangle, on the left outside, I want you to write the word leads. The next thing that you do after you understand the offer and who's it for, then you're going to go out and start getting some leads. On the right outside of the triangle, I want you to write the word sales. Offer leads, and sales. These are the basics. And in the middle of that triangle, I want you to write the word, whatever word resonates most with you, either the word scale or the word clients or the number 15K or the number 30K. Because it's this simple model that is the basics in your online business. And when your model of your business is so simple that you can draw it on a napkin, this is one of the litmus tests we have for how simple is your business and how simple is your thinking. And so you have to focus on the basics. Guys, there's times where I'll draw that triangle out when I'm just so unclear about what to do next. And then I go to the bottom. Okay, what's the offer? Okay, the paid for offer is this. It's join the Get Clients program, and it's join it for X amount of time, and here's what they get. And you get group coaching, and you get unlimited one-on-one help, and you get feedback, and you get audits on your market, on your offer, on your pipeline, on your traffic. You get elbow to elbow with all these other people. That's the big offer. And then I get into, okay, what's gonna make the most sense to lead someone from cold on the internet to joining that in? And when you start to do that, you think with the end in mind, you work from the right side to the left versus the left side to the right. I hope this is making sense. Because a lot of us should have the wrong picture. You might have the wrong picture of what an online coaching business actually is. And so you have to focus on the basics, and it all starts at the bottom of that triangle and then going clockwise around it, starting at the bottom with your offer, starting with your niche, who it's for, and what they get. The first thing you have to do is you got to get back to basics, and you have to focus on basics. You got to stop worrying about the unnecessary. Thing number one, you got to focus on the basics. The second thing you need to do, once you have a clear picture of the basics, you have your juicy paid for offer, you have your 3, 4, or 5 micro offers that lead them to getting at the end of that sales call with you and saying, yes, why would I not join this program? Why would I not get this offer? Jeremy, I would be stupid to not do it. This is what they should be saying to you. Well, I'd be dumb to not do it. Wow, this is exactly what I've been needing. Wow, yes, let's do it. The next thing you have to do is you got to get visible, but you got to get visible with a caveat. You got to get visible with intent. One of the fancier things that's also keeping you stuck in your business is like the constant content creation and the constant really pretty content creation, right? Never been easier to make the Alex Hormozi style reels and content and look like a coach, but your bank account, the needle of it not moving in any favorable direction. In fact, you're probably now paying $15, $20, $30 a month for a Descript or for some sort of captions maker for something or another to get your content going, but you still don't have clients coming in. The only reason why you should be posting on social media as an online coach in 2023 is for one reason and one reason alone. It's not for likes. It's not for engagement. It's not for anything other than starting the conversation. And every piece of content that you put out there, whether it's story, a video, an image, a written post, or a caption, a tweet, should have one primary objective. It's binary, guys. It's 1 or it's 0. The one objective should be to start the conversation. Your content should compel the prospect reading it, the folks in your market, to reach out and take an action with you. And it should give you an opportunity to start the conversation. Now, likes and reactions and comments and all of those things are great buckets to have to start the conversations, but you have to be thinking about optimizing for that conversation in mind from the beginning of that content. You should not post your content for any other reason than to get someone to take the next step with you and to start a conversation with them. That means they are commenting or sending you a message from that content, or they are indicating in some way that they're interested, and now they're a little bit warm, and you're reaching out to see if there's anything that you can do with them, or to give them some love, or to give them a compliment, because now you can go and check out their profile, and then you can enter. You're way more likely to be seen, read, and replied when someone has reacted to a piece of your content, liked it, left a comment, engaged with it in some way, and now you can enter the comment. You can send them a message, and you're not going to send them something that says, hey, join my program, hey, book a call. No, you're going to say thank you. You're going to give them some love. You're going to give them a compliment, and this is how we start the conversation. The second thing you have to do is you have to get visible with the intention of starting conversation. That's thing number 2. The third thing you need to do, if you find yourself at all being fancy in your online business, or you're just not doing these things that I'm here mentioning, is that you need to strip away what doesn't matter. And a lot of you guys, this is gonna hurt your ego, and I'm making this episode for you more than anybody else. You have to look at all of these recurring subscriptions that are not leading you, that are more ego focused and not outwardly focused and service focused of helping others. There's an argument that can be made for a lot of these recurring subscriptions and services that you've signed up for your business. There's an argument that could be made it's going to be helping you to get clients, but if it's not having a direct effect on you, if you have not had a client in the last 30, 45, 60 days, this is your sign to strip away the things that don't matter. Get rid of the subscriptions that you have to paid for tools that you just don't need. You can start with your CRM, because I've made a free one for you called GetBookedCRM. You can just drop the letters or message me the letters CRM on social media anywhere, and I can get you a copy. And then you start to look at all of the others. So after Zoom and Calendly, all of the others become optional, in my opinion, if your revenue is inconsistent or stuck at zero, or you hadn't had a client in the last 30, 45, 60 days. And Zoom is necessary so that you can do your client delivery with clients, or so that you can do your sales calls. Calendly is necessary, and there's even a free version that you can get started with to actually get someone to book a call with you. And so those are about all you need. Your website, not all that necessary, okay? If you're paying for ClickFunnels, a lead pages, and anything like that, not necessary. If you're paying for things to caption your videos, guys, that's built into TikTok, just use that editor. It's built into Instagram, just use that editor. You do not need all of these things. It's just to stroke your ego, and it's just because of some thought that you have or some feeling inside of you because you're looking at other coaches in the marketplace and comparing yourself to them. And one of my advisors, someone who's maybe had the most impact on my life, my high school advisor, Mr. Rector, said something all the time, biblical, that just makes absolute sense. And it's that he who compares himself amongst others is a fool. And if you're comparing your business to others and thinking, well, mine doesn't look like X, Y, or Z person's coach, this doesn't look like Jeremy's business, this doesn't look like these other ones, but you're stuck below 15K, you're already focused on the wrong shit. You got to get your mind in the right place by focusing on the basics, and you got to get your heart in the right place by being of service to others. Those are the only thing that matters in this online coaching space. And when you come from a place of service and you get